Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome into another edition of Moving the Goalpost Leftovers. I'm Nick DiMartino. That's Nick Morgasen. You can follow us across social media at MTGPETB. You can follow me on Twitter at Nick DiMart, Nick at NMorgasen Radio, if I got that right.
Yeah.
And this show is, you can watch all Empty Event shows on youtube.com/ETB Network, and you can listen to the show wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure to like and subscribe. And this show is presented by nobody. So,
By the way, we have 17 people watching already. I'm just going to tell you.
How are we getting such crazy numbers?
Actually, it's going up. 20 people are now watching. So let's get right into it because I put the banners down below if you look.
Okay, yeah, because I was going to say. All right. Well, first we have to talk about like NFL injuries.
ACL gate going on right now.
Yeah, there's been three. I think the new NFL logo should just be the handicap logo.
I mean, yeah. So obviously the Mahomes injury, I saw it happen. His leg literally hyperextended straight when he got hurt. And I knew right then and there that it was some kind of torn ACL, MCL, PCL. It was one of the CL injuries.
One of the body parts that you only know of because professional athletes injure them.
And my favorite is when an injury like this happens, you see all the armchair Twitter doctors come out on social media and they tell you before the official announcement is made, oh, well, it looks like a torn ACL.
The funny thing is, though, they're usually right.
Oh, no, they're usually right.
They're right that it is a torn ACL because torn ACLs usually all look the same.
There's a guy that is a legitimate doctor who I follow. He's a sports fitness doctor. He's taking care of professional athletes for. His name is Dr. Chow. He's been on fantasy sports radio for Sirius, and he does like all the injury updates for them. And he said, oh, it's a torn ACL because you could tell by the leg when it went straight up. And then you saw something pop, which I did see because you saw it kind of like explode. And I was like, that's bad. And I never thought I'd see Gardner Minshew back in a football game again.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess the Chiefs season ended with a bang. I guess it's it's not better that he got hurt, but it's better that they're going to lose more now that the season's just totally over.
Their season was over a couple weeks ago, in my opinion.
I mean, it wasn't mathematically over. They still had a fighting chance. Now they're eliminated completely.
No, I get that, but I just feel like they never had a chance, really, because of the way their season was going. Kelsey looked off the whole entire season. He's dropping footballs like Terrell Owens out there.
I mean Travis Kelce costed them 2 games with dropped passes that turned into interceptions.
And what's crazy is people were going after him because he was on his New Heights podcast saying that, I think I need to retire. Yeah, I think you need to retire. Like, it's time for you to go. Like, go marry Taylor Swift, go have another life, go act in movies, and leave the football to people who want to play.
Yeah, and he doesn't even really. I mean, look, he's a tight end. He's 36 years old. That's a little old for tight ends. It's not old for quarterbacks, really, but it definitely is old for tight ends. And he's been around a long time. I mean, he's been on the Chiefs since like 2013.
Yeah, again, amazing. How many Super Bowls was it? 2, I think.
3
or 3 they won. I didn't know I forgot, but yeah. So he's won 3 Super Bowls. He's had a Hall of Fame career. We can't deny that in any way, shape.
One of the best tight ends of all time. He's just doesn't have it anymore because he's not the player he once was. It's really just that simple.
Correct. So he'll go up there with I don't know if this is a horrible comparison, but with Gronk, he'll probably go up there with Gronk as being one of the better tight ends in the history of
It's hard to debate who the best tight ends ever are because they're very dependent on who their quarterback is and who they're coaching.
That's fair. Yeah, no, that's totally fair. But I mean, it also helps that he's had the same quarterback his whole entire career.
Well, the same thing can be said about Gronk.
True, but I'm just saying that helps to be a good tight end. That you can have a good chemistry with the quarterback.
Yeah, definitely one of the best tight ends of all time. Easily a Hall of Famer. This year just was not his year. I mean, it wasn't even all that bad statistically. But situationally, he was really bad. Just dropping easy passes that turn into interceptions. And I also think that there should be, and I'm probably not the only person. I'm not the only person to say this, but there should be a separate statistic for interceptions like when players, like if a receiver drops a pass that then gets tipped, that gets intercepted, that shouldn't count the same.
You know what? They should count it against the receiver if they
exactly. It should be like it's like what they have in baseball. Like they have errors and they have hits. If a second baseman like just can't field the ground ball, that's ruled an error. You don't get a hitter doesn't like that doesn't count as a hit.
You're talking about
the same thing.
You're talking about, for instance, like in baseball, when someone steals a useless base against you and they call it defensive indifference instead of a stolen base.
Right.
Because the stolen base means absolutely nothing, and it's not fair to count it against the catcher or the pitcher.
And they also have sack flies and things like that. I think they should do the same thing in football. I don't think that should count as an interception against the quarterback if they easily drop it.
Most of the time, the interception is on the quarterback. Most of the time,
usually.
But it all depends. There's many times where you see a ball hit somebody right in the chest and it bounces off, and
that's what I'm saying.
Player, like if it hits you in the chest, the interception's got to go against the receiver. Not it.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. Like that's
how would you count that though? Like, you know what? That would be a fun fantasy stat too.
Yeah, it really would be,
because that would change some. Like if a game is really close in the end, and say your receiver, the ball hits you right in the chest, and they get an interception, you lose a point or two for that, and that could be the difference between you winning your matchup or not. That would be insane. But you know what? I got to give Mahomes a lot of credit. It took him this long to have a severe injury like this.
This is true. This is true. By the way, he killed me in fantasy. I'm in my quarter. I'm right now. I have a 19% chance of winning in the quarterfinals.
Oh yeah, that's right. It's the fantasy playoffs right now.
And Mahomes just killed me with the game that he played.
I'm not surprised.
I mean, look, Daniel Carlson was no help, obviously, losing 31-0. Luckily, Travion Henderson had a big game. RJ Harvey could have been a little better. And Abuka had a little, didn't play great either. So,
by the way, I got absolutely killed on my lock of the week with the Raiders plus 12, excuse me. Totally just getting annihilated. I said, wow, the Eagles finally decided to come out and play good football for a change. Like,
yeah, the Eagles, look, I think every team this year has been all the good teams, almost all of them have had their bad games. They've all been a little sus at times. I mean, the Bills, their defense isn't good. They've had some inexplicably bad games. Obviously the Chiefs, but they're totally out of it. The Ravens, in fact, this year, the Lions, I think, are a great example. The Lions might not even make the playoffs.
The way they're playing, no, but there were some bad outcomes today. Like Seattle was minus 13.5 against the Colts, and they only won by 2. So some of these matchups were odd today. Like, I'm just looking around at the rest of the NFL just since we're talking about it. But I did have the Chargers against the Chiefs because I felt like that was going to be a letdown game for the Chiefs. I had the over 41.5 for the Jets and Jaguars, and that was almost hit in the first half.
The Jaguars hit the over by themselves.
But I'm saying it was 24-10 in the first half. Like the over was basically hit in the first half. Trying to think what else, if anything else really stood out. I really didn't want to pick the Giants, but I didn't know where to lean in that game. 2 people locked that game. I was very surprised. Like, I think it was Giants minus 2.5. I don't know. Where did you lean in that game? I'm assuming you probably had Washington, right?
The Commanders.
Yeah.
So I look at this tweet from Funhouse. It says, just imagine how much worse the score would be if Aaron Glenn wasn't a defensive genius.
I'm kind of hoping he gets fired after this year. I really do.
They're not going to look. They signed him to a 5-year deal. They're not going to fire him after 1 year, and they still have to pay him for all those years. So it's not worth it to me to fire him after 1 season. And also, nobody's going to want to coach the Jets if they fire their coaches after 1 season. So I think they got to just stick it out for at least another year with Aaron Glenn.
I guess, but so just to kind of finish this one up, I mean, their season was done to begin with. They were officially eliminated because I forgot the other 2 matchups. that there was two other games where if the outcomes were, I think the Jaguars was one of those games, and I don't remember what the other game was, but those outcomes ended up happening. Those two others got a win and they lost. So this is the first time in years they've been eliminated before Christmas.
Yeah.
I think 11 straight years in the playoffs, 5 out of the last 6 Super Bowls, I think it said also. So
I really think it's really just going to be right now. I really think it's going to be a bump in the road for the Chiefs. Like, I really think outside of losing Travis Kelce, I think they're going to be fine. I think in the future they're going to make the playoffs and make another run.
We do have comments coming in. Callan saying, I sold the Chiefs running the table. We didn't around the horn on the last day of playback, which we'll talk about later, why the show is on here and what's happening. But I sold the Chiefs running the table. Sucks to hear about the Mahomes injury. Yeah, that's why the NFL is the most unpredictable sport on the planet. Zan said, yeah, your lock got burned. Yes, I know.
Which was your lock?
The Raiders, plus 12.
I'm surprised you didn't pick against the Jets as your lock. That's usually what you do.
Because I got burned when I picked. Well, I picked the under in the Jets Falcons game, and I got burned big time. Callan also said Jets, go fight, win. The only relevant Jets right now play in the NHL. Yeah, well, that wouldn't be the first time my Jets were more relevant than.
Look, the Jets can go 0-17 for the next 5 years. They'll still be a more relevant team than a Canadian hockey team.
Oh, Zan's right. Texans and Bills were the teams that had to win to eliminate the Chiefs. That's what knocked them out.
Yes,
so
correct.
Try to keep up on the comments because we have 70 people watching right now. So
69 people watching. Actually,
that's a nice number. But you know what? They had to blow this team up anyway. The Chiefs were really going nowhere. They need to get him more wide receiver weapons. Pacheco looks off at the running back position. I think they need to get someone
really
else.
Bad in fantasy. I've been benching him every week.
Yeah, like he's done. I feel like they need to go a different direction. They need to blow up the whole offense and start over.
Yeah, I mean, look, when Mahomes is your quarterback, you don't really have to blow the whole thing up that much.
No, I don't mean in that regard. But yeah, but they have to. They need new pieces, new weapons.
No, they definitely do. And look, Mahomes can't catch passes.
No.
And he's been awful in some of these games. But in some of these games, his receivers have been doing him no favors from just dropping easy passes.
No, that's a fair point. But
that's
Mahomes
a big part of it too.
Mahomes has looked off all year. It's not the typical Mahomes where he would make those deep passes like to clinch games down the stretch like he did over the last couple of years. But I don't know.
You know what, though? I think one thing that hurt the Chiefs is that the first half of their schedule was very tough, and they didn't have Rashee Rice for that stretch.
Well, because he's an idiot.
And also, they had no business losing that game against the Texans. It was their terrible play calling that lost them that game.
It's all fair. It's all fair.
They absolutely should have won that game. And so, if things go a little differently, look, I think there were little flashes of the Chiefs this season looking like the old Chiefs that we're used to. Most of it was in the first half of the season, but they just had – look, I think it was everything with the Chiefs this year was just worst case scenario. That's really all it was.
No, I agree totally. It just every bad – whether it was an injury or Rashee Rice deciding to street race down a busy highway and almost hurt people in the process. But
could have killed somebody.
Correct.
Killed somebody.
I mean, it reminds me of what's his name, who's in jail now for the Raiders.
Henry Ruggs.
Yeah, Henry Ruggs, who was about to get out on parole, and then he did something stupid in the jail, and they said no to parole.
What, did he get into a fight or something? Is that?
They said he was just acting out inside the prison, and they said no. All right, let's move on to the next injury.
Yeah, Micah Parsons.
This happened right before we got on here, actually, because this game was on at 4:25.
An hour or so, 45. No, a little less than an hour before we started doing the show.
I saw
Micah Parsons went down.
Yeah,
horrible. I felt awful for him. It's also really bad for the Packers because they're
playing good football.
They're playing well, yeah, but they're also like a bubble team.
Yes.
So it's going to hurt them a lot, and they might not. Look, I don't know how much one player is going to affect the entire defense, but it still is pretty significant for Green Bay.
Right. I mean, I picked the Broncos today because I think it was disrespectful the way the line was made. I think I don't know what Vegas was thinking, having the Packers as a road favorite
I don't
and
think it's that crazy.
10 in a row, Nick, and the Broncos are a dog at home.
It's not that. Look, if Vegas has it, look, I usually trust Vegas's lines. If they,
You don't think that was a little outrageous? Little?
no, I think. Look, I think if a line, it might seem outrageous, but I don't think it ever really is. Like if Vegas makes a line a certain way, it's because they know something you don't know. Now, it doesn't always prove that to be true in the game, but the way I see it is the Broncos won 10 in a row, but they weren't consistently looking good in those games.
Yeah,
So
but 10 in a row is 10 in a row, no matter how you do it.
I don't disagree, but it's not irrelevant how you win those games when it comes to how Vegas sets lines. Obviously, in standings, it doesn't matter, but when it comes to how Vegas sets lines, I mean, the Broncos being in some close games against teams that aren't good, yeah, I think it's going to affect the line a little bit. And it's not like the Packers are a bad team. The Packers
I still think the Broncos are the better team. Like that line tells you that they think the Packers are the better team. And I'm like, no, they're not. I think Bo Nix has had an incredible year, I think. Now, is he perfect? No, I'm not saying that by any means. But Jordan Love has not been perfect either at all. Like he reminds me of the Price is Right climber when the game where they show the climber going up, and then if you miss it, he goes over the side and crashes. That's what Jordan Love is. Like he has two really good games, then he has two really awful games, and then he goes back and forth. It's like a hill and a valley.
Yeah. He's a little bit streaky. He's a little bit like Jalen Hurts in a sense. Very streaky.
I mean, losing to the Panthers early in the year, which again doesn't seem like a slight because the Panthers are actually playing good ball. I mean, they lost.
They lost to the Saints.
That's up until today. They were playing really good football. That was a bad ball. I wouldn't
say they were playing really good football for the Panthers.
I mean, they beat the Rams.
Yeah. They had two really good wins, but they beat the Packers. They had two really good wins. They had a win against the Rams and the Packers, but I wouldn't say they played great for most of the season.
I don't think you win those by accident, though. Those are two really good teams.
No, you're absolutely right. Those are good wins. Without question, those are good wins.
But, yeah, today's slate was very odd. But the Packers, this is a massive injury because, again, Micah Parsons is, 1A? Like, best defender in the NFL right now? Like, if it wasn't for the injury, I mean, Dallas kind of misused him in a lot of ways. But
Dallas also had one of the worst defenses ever. Like
he had to do all the work. He had to do all the work, essentially.
Right. And this year they were one of the worst ever, and that's not because of one player. That's a systemic issue. That's true because they didn't have parts.
I still think Jerry Jones is going to regret trading him out of Dallas. I
actually don't think it was that bad of a move. I think
I agree with you that he needed to get out of Dallas because he was never going to win. Because the next time the Dallas Cowboys win a Super Bowl, we might not even be on this planet anymore. The way this is going, but
no, because Jerry Jones isn't going to be alive that much longer.
Well,
so he'll be under different ownership.
Well, no, he only cares about the dollar signs that the Cowboys make. But
no, the point is though, Jerry Jones is 80-something years old. He's
he's in his 80s.
Much longer. So. I think the Cowboys will win a Super Bowl before the Jets do.
Well, yeah. I think the Yankees and the Mets will win a World Series in New York before the Jets ever win a Super Bowl again.
Well, the Yankees isn't saying much. I mean, they have 27, and they won in 2009. We both were alive to see that.
I mean, heck, NYCFC, the soccer team, won one recently over the Jets. Okay,
look, the Knicks and the Mets are both going to win before the Jets do.
Oh, that's not even a question. I would take a bet on that one.
Well, at least are closer based on how they look now. Now, I don't think the Knicks with this current roster are going to win at all. I don't think this is a championship caliber roster.
No, maybe they're good enough the NBA Cup.
Yeah. They'll win an NBA Cup. I guess maybe if you count that. By the way,
I say that out of spite. By the way,
you think the Knicks might hang a banner for the NBA Cup?
Well, the Lakers did it, if you remember, and then they didn't make the playoffs that year.
I think the Knicks should hang a banner for winning the NBA. No, they did make the playoffs.
No, the Lakers did not make the playoffs when they
year?
in year one of the cup.
Oh,
But
maybe the cup has been going on longer.
yeah,
than
they won the inaugural NBA Cup, and then they missed the playoffs.
I thought last year was the first NBA
No,
Cup.
it's the second one.
Okay, so it was 2 years ago.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
but I laughed because they raised the banner like it was a NBA
Especially
title.
for a storied franchise like the Lakers, it's so embarrassing.
I was like, come on, man, you're gonna raise it like a NBA Finals championship? Like, come on.
By the way, I don't. The whole NBA Cup thing is ridiculous because it means nothing. It means nothing.
And no disrespect to Callan, because Callan actually, when we were doing the streams, he liked to watch the NBA Cup, and I watched a few of them.
Well, I would watch the NBA Cup, but because it's an NBA game, not because it's the NBA Cup. Like I treat it the same way as any other NBA regular season game. What they should do is attach some meaning to it.
Well, that's the debate that Callan and I had, where there's really no difference. The only thing that you can tell that it's a game is because of those dopey courts that they make.
Get rid of those courts. I'm going to get a brain aneurysm.
Some of them are blood red. Some of them are yellow.
Make it look like every other court, just like they do in the playoffs.
So
a regular court.
Did you hear the weird thing that happened to the Lakers NBA Cup court, that they had to play on their regular court during an NBA Cup day because there's this issue going on with the NBA Cup courts around the league that they're slippery and players are falling.
Yeah, just do the regular courts. But here's the thing. Here's the thing though. They should attach some meaning to it. So here's my idea. My idea is just when you advance in the NBA Cup, have it count, like you can add those games to your record at the end of the season if you advance in the cup and win, and it doesn't count against you if you lose. Right? Like, so, I mean, all you're doing, you can just like add extra games.
The games already count regardless to your regular season schedule, but they keep separate records for NBA Cup games. And I said to Callan when we were doing press row last week, I said, I need an abacus to figure out which games belong to which record. And by the way, OKC finally losing a game for the first time in like 4 weeks. I think they're like 24-2 now or something. Like they're going to break the Warriors record if they keep going at this rate of 75.
Yeah, I mean, this is now looking like a super team. And I didn't think that this would happen. I didn't think this would happen again. The NBA is in a weird position right now, which is that their best team, because like, look, this is like Golden State Warriors level winning.
I think it's better.
There is a tiny amount of buzz about this Thunder team compared to
they do it in such a quiet way that they're not looking for the full spotlight when they play, which is good.
I don't think the Warriors were looking for the full spotlight either, but
but you had Steph and you had Draymond and you had Clay.
I don't think Steph was looking for the spotlight, but the spotlight was just on Steph because of how marketable.
He also was he knew how to show off without it looking like a douche, like some players would. Like where LeBron, when he shows off, he looks like an asshole sometimes when he's showing off.
It's actually very similar situations because Oklahoma City won the NBA Finals last year. The Warriors won the NBA Finals in 2014, and then went on so it's actually almost like exactly the same situation. But the NBA is in a weird position because with Oklahoma City, not only are they a small market team, but that's not really so much the issue as much as their stars are not as marketable. Like SGA is not as marketable as Steph Curry. Like he's not as fun to watch. Like watching a guy draw fouls the whole game is just not as entertaining as Steph Curry, who we've never seen before. Like Steph Curry's style of play. Like I'm not saying he's the only guy who could shoot threes, but a guy with that type of range and that type of ability beyond just shooting threes, I mean, we've never seen before.
Well, I would say also Steph, even though he played at, Davidson? He played at a small school.
Davidson.
So most people didn't know who he was. Then he comes on the scene in the NBA and he becomes this huge, like, marketable personality in a sense when he comes to the NBA. When you look at SGA, there is some personality in there, but it's not. It's more
not the same.
He's a basketball guy. That's what SGA is. Like he likes to play basketball, and that's it. And
but it's also the style of play. Like SGA's style of play is just less compelling than Steph Curry's style.
I would say SGA is like Jalen Brunson too, because Jalen Brunson is only out there to draw fouls. Like he's not doing anything like super like crazy out there.
Although SGA is not the only guy to draw. I mean, look, LeBron was criticized for years for the same reason.
James Harden.
Although the difference is James Harden never won anything.
No, but I'm saying they had to change the rules because of James Harden, because he was known for the up and under foul, which they now had to put a rule in play that you can't do it anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't know. I mean, we just went very roundabout on this story.
Well, I think for people who like basketball, they appreciate SGA a lot more.
Yeah,
I'm a basketball fan.
I happen to think SGA is a good player. By the way, Dallas just turned the ball, just got an interception on McCarthy on Sunday night. Shocker, right?
By the way, and nobody is dumber than the Vikings. They are such a stupid franchise. Moving on from Arnold,
Justin Jefferson should demand out of there at some point. I just don't ever see them winning, ever.
I saw a tweet that said the Vikings should release JJ McCarthy, declaring him a bust, and then pick him up again so Kevin O'Connell can save him.
Yeah, I don't think it works that way. But just to finish off on this story, because we went very roundabout on that. I don't know. The Packers are going to struggle slightly now without Micah Parsons because he was a big defensive anchor for this team. And don't get me wrong, they have Josh Jacobs, who's been on and off injured the last couple of weeks. He played, I think he had a touchdown in the game earlier today. But if they can just get him healthy and they can get Jordan Love to stay hot, which is kind of tough at times with him, I think they can go far. But I don't know. We'll see what happens there.
Well, just look at just look at where the Packers are in the division. They are they're in second place. They're ahead of the Lions, and even if the Lions catch them, they beat them twice, so they have the head-to-head. Assuming it's
holy crap, Lions! Like, come on, like.
So they have the head-to-head in the division, and the rest of the Packers' schedule. I mean, they play the Bears on the road, then the Ravens at home, and then the Vikings on the road. They could win the next 3 games. It wouldn't shock me.
By the way, I need to ask you a funny question. So, like, when we do our picks, so Grant, who is one of the 3 Bears fans we have, locked the Bears. Like a lot of times he does. So, if someone were to say to you generally after an outcome of a game, "Oh, that was a great lock that I chose," your reaction would be what?
Oh, I assume you won.
No. But I'm saying my reaction was, you're only saying that because of looking at the score.
Right. Doesn't mean it's a good lock. Exactly. But in the Bears, wait, did he lock the Bears this week?
He locked the Bears, yes, against the Browns.
I mean, it was. I would say probably.
Right,
considering they what was the final score? 30-31-3.
Oh no, they blew out the Browns. I'm not questioning that. Oh God, no way. Did they just wow, the Cowboys just faked a punt and got a first down. The Cowboys are out on all the tricks today. No, but my point
is crazy that they felt the need to fake a punt against the Vikings.
I know. No, but my point is to say a lock is good after the result, I feel like is a little weird.
Well, isn't that all that matters though, is the result?
No, I get it, but my argument is that you can't, just because you saw the outcome and then you say, "Oh, that was a genius lock."
Oh, so are you saying that you got to make the statement beforehand?
Yes, like you say, "Oh, it's a good lock," and then you have to wait for the result to say.
But here's the problem: you don't know if it's a good lock before the game happens.
Right, but but you can say, "Oh, I think it's going to be a good lock." You can't say after the result, "Oh, that was a genius lock." You can't. I don't know. In my own head, that doesn't work.
I guess it's a little bit like when people comment on on TikTok.
Oh, on the comment section,
idiots. When I heard something funny, somebody Zan made a prediction about how he thought Michigan would cover the spread against Ohio State, and somebody comments, "Armchair analyst here." I don't think he knew, but it was really funny.
Some other comments in here. Alan said a college team could probably beat the Browns at this point.
Well, for the way Shador is playing, I think that there's a good chance. He went 18 for 35.
Yeah. Christy says hi, and then this is Cal, one of our guys who was actually on our playback stream. Hello, guys. Nice to see you again. But I don't know. I think
Shador Sanders was awful today. And wanting something funny, he led the team in rushing. You know it's bad when your quarterback leads the team in rushing when he can't even throw.
Oh, wait, I can do this now since I have sounds in here. Basically, are you saying Shador was...
We keeping a buck right now, we ass.
That.
Yes, he was ass, obviously.
How
much of the sports media now is going to say that like the Browns set him up to fail? How many times have we heard that?
Oh, it's already been said. Already.
It's the weirdest thing. Look, I have nothing against Shador Sanders. I don't root against him or anything. But
would you say though that Dion and Shador is kind of like the new Ball family in a sense?
A little bit, except I think at least Dion earned the right to be a LeVar Ball a lot more than LeVar Ball did. Because Dion. I think his opinion is valued a little more. I actually think in a weird way the roles are a little reversed, which is that Shador is much more famous because of his dad, and LeVar is much more famous because of his sons.
Well, yeah, Dion.
That makes sense.
Dion had a Hall of Fame
Shador Sanders was, in his defense, was a really, really good college quarterback. Really good college quarterback. But
I get
dad,
that.
obviously.
Well, Dion was a Hall of Famer, obviously, so that kind of helps with some of the virality, even though Shador has done some pretty dumb things off the field.
I mean, Shador, but I think he's really just influenced by his dad. I think Dion
I agree.
I think Dion, like the whole like two legendary thing. I think a lot of Shador's antics turned a lot of people off, but I really just think that it has a lot to do with the people influencing him. It has a lot to do with his dad. I really think that's what it is. Like the true legendary thing when you don't even have a career yet. Like it just comes across as too cocky.
Yeah. Oh,
the Browns have to put a media memo out to not interview Dion when it comes to his son. LeVar Ball will always be the worst of the two, in my opinion.
Yeah,
that's fair.
I agree.
I think LeVar Ball was more like. He was much more involved when they were at UCLA, not so much when they were professionals. Am I wrong about that? I don't remember him being too involved when he was on the Lakers.
No, that's a good call out. I mean, I would say LeVar was much more involved with his kids.
And I don't really think Deion Sanders is that involved with Shador in the NFL. Like, he doesn't seem to be talking that much about it. Am I wrong about that? He hasn't. I don't remember him calling out Kevin Stefanski or anything like that. I could be wrong, but
I don't know. I mean, I would say LeVar.
This comment says, "Thank you, Nick." I can't tell which Nick.
No, one of the people asked for our Discord link, so I put it in.
Okay.
But I don't know. LeVar was way too involved with his kids, and that destroyed Lonzo's career. Who's now? It's the wrong way.
I wouldn't say it destroyed Lonzo's career. He's still in the NBA. I mean,
yeah, but he jumped around. Now I think he's in Cleveland now.
I think that was more just because of how good he was, and not because of LeVar Ball.
No, I agree. It's just I think that Dion has kind of stayed away from everything that Shador has been doing. I think, which is good.
But it's just weird to me how much like Shador Sanders is like this weird polarizing topic, and some like try to make him out to be like this underdog, when really he's the opposite of that. He's like a nepo. He's much closer to being like a nepo baby than he is to being an underdog.
No, I agree with that 1,000,000%. Like
being Deion Sanders' son, like you're born on third base.
That's
especially in the sports world, totally born on third base.
I mean, the only claim to fame for LeVar is that he thinks he can beat Michael Jordan in a one-on-one game, apparently, which I don't think that would ever happen.
Well, especially now, because didn't he have to get like a limb removed or something like that, or a toe or something?
Yeah, his toes, I think. Yeah.
Oh, by the way, who else did? Deion Sanders. They both had to have body parts removed.
Well, doesn't he need a porta potty on the sideline now?
Yeah,
actually, he got a sponsor from Depends. I'm not joking either. People, whoever the 80 people that are watching right now.
Yeah, he has severe blood clot problems.
If you go look it up, he does have a sponsor by Depends, and it's on the porta potty every time, on the sideline. It's like, okay, you got me.
Yeah, Deion had bladder cancer. That was it. Yeah. LeVar did damage to Lonzo's career. LiAngelo sabotaged his career with the shoplifting incident in China while at UCLA. LaMelo came out smelling like roses until his
What's
injury.
interesting about that is Trump had to go save him.
Trump saved him. Exactly.
Because China was not going to release him.
Well, China, I think China was like using them as
a prop. A prop.
I mean, first of all, how fucking dumb do you have to be to shoplift in a foreign country?
I mean, you could technically, not that this is shoplifting, but you could say Brittany Griner, when she went to play overseas, bringing marijuana. And
she brought it, but she didn't even bring, like, with Brittany Griner, I think it was a little different. I mean, Brittany Griner, she at least didn't steal anything. She brought like
drug paraphernalia.
It was almost like CBD oil she brought.
But she had the actual paraphernalia, and that's what got her arrested, so to speak. Now, it's a little different because of the whole Russia thing. Their laws and their regulations are way different than they are here.
Well,
but
so she had cannabis oil in vape cartridges.
You can't carry that anywhere. You can't even carry that through security in the U.S.
Yeah, but at least in like China. I mean, I don't know what China was. It doesn't sound like with LiAngelo Ball, though, China was doing anything wrong with how they handled it.
No, I agree totally.
But in Russia's case, I think it was a little different. It was very much.
That was a political prop because Russia and the U.S. don't get along. That's why.
Yeah, and also, I don't just blame her. I also kind of blame her agent a little bit. Or
I do too.
Around her, it's like, does she not have anybody around her telling her don't bring that to Russia?
I mean, we've had many issues. Like we've had journalists get stuck in Russia because of whatever dumb things they did there. And then they're like, yeah, we're not letting you go. We're using it as a prop. All right, I'm going to get off the politics. So that's not a good conversation to have.
Not really about the politics, but like, yeah, that's undoubtedly true. Yeah. LiAngelo, and now LiAngelo is a rapper.
And what was it? Was it at one of the halftime shows? He got to do a rap, which or was it the NBA or something? I can't remember.
Oh, speaking of China, nice teaser for one of Morgasen's benchmarks episode talking about the NBA and China relationship.
Yeah, so I did I already recorded it. It's ready to go. We talk about the whole thing and obviously the Daryl Morey tweet, if you remember.
Yeah, I remember.
Caused the whole China relationship to go in the dumps, so to speak. And then they're finally back together now, but that lasted for a year at least.
Yeah.
Like they took games off of like the biggest Chinese like television networks because of what Daryl Morey said.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I didn't realize that China and NBA had such a close relationship at the time. Until the Daryl Morey tweet.
That pretty much got him fired, by the way. Also, I think from Houston at the time. I mean, now I think he's the 76ers GM now, I think. But
man, we are talking about old ass stories on this show. For the last episode of Leftovers, we are doing old ass stories.
And at the end, we're going to talk about why it's the last episode too. We'll talk about that at the end. But
yeah.
Why don't we move on?
Do you want to do more NFL stuff? It was a pretty big week in the NFL.
Yeah, go ahead. I'll follow you.
Other than the injury, well, there's one injury we didn't talk about. We didn't talk about Devontae Adams. We didn't talk about that injury.
Well, and also the Puka injury too.
And Puka Nacua, that one too.
Is this crazy between the NBA and the NFL? The amount of star injuries we have seen so far, like in the last couple of weeks to a month.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is coincidental. I mean, look, in basketball, until you play fantasy basketball, you don't realize how frequently players are injured. Like you look at I look at half my roster on my fantasy basketball team. It's just out. I have no idea why.
No, I don't know. But the NBA, the NFL, it's not as bad. The NBA, it's worse. They put out a list that like 30 different stars from the NBA have been out for at least a week or two so far early on in the season. For the NFL, it's more freak injuries than anything.
Yeah, like ACL tears and things like that. And the NFL is going to have a meeting about this tomorrow morning where they're like, how are we going to prevent this from happening in the future? Unfortunately, there might not be much they really can do.
Can I tell you one thing that, and this pisses off Johnny every week when we do forecast, because it comes up every once in a while, and I agree with him that it's annoying when people bring it up. The whole turf issue at MetLife, people keep bringing that up. And I'm like, guys, come on. It's not the turf. It's all freak injuries that happen.
How much do you think, Look, I'm open to the possibility. I just haven't looked at any of the actual data on this about turf. Look, it certainly is possible that certain types of surfaces contribute. You know what I think? I think in the future there will be fewer injuries like this because they will figure out a way to have surfaces that will just be more conducive to not getting injured. I think that probably will happen in the future. I also think that there will be quicker fixes to these injuries in the future. Like maybe you get surgery, you're out for a couple of weeks rather than an entire year.
No, I agree with that. I mean, the technology is getting better for injuries, period. But, well, think about the example of when R.I.P. Kobe, by the way, but when Kobe went overseas to get the surgery, I think in Germany, he came back way sooner than having the treatment or whatever here in the U.S. because some countries are ahead of us when it comes to medical technology and medical.
I don't know what you're talking. I don't remember that. I could be wrong.
Yeah, he went. I'm gonna look it up right now. But Kobe went overseas to have a procedure done. I'm looking it up really quick. Yeah, see.
Oh no! You know what happened? He
had a treatment. It was called.
He had a treatment that wasn't FDA approved in the U.S. So he couldn't get that treatment in the U.S.
It was
the FDA.
It was a PRP, a platelet-rich plasma injection that he had in Germany. Yeah, Callan said it right here. Kobe had plasma injections in Germany, but it saved his career because he had a really bad. I forgot what the injury was at the time, but
he was able to play for a couple more years. Not all that great, but
I mean, it's better than nothing, right?
Yeah, no, that is true. That is true. But yeah, Kobe was not really the same after that. I mean, his career was like compared to a lot of other stars. I think Kobe is very comparable to Larry Bird in the sense that he was great
for
like a short period of time and was really killed by injuries.
Yeah, I mean,
I think they're very similar. It wasn't like Duncan. Duncan was great for like 20 years, a much longer period of time.
He got hurt towards the very end, not like in the tail.
It also, I don't think it affected him as much as it affected Kobe, just because of the types of players that they were.
See, it's interesting. You would think the NFL injury technology would be better, considering the injuries are far worse in the NFL than they are in the NBA. I saw a story today.
Well, how much better could it really be, though?
I'm saying not that it would be better, that they would be ahead of the curve for certain treatments because of some of these injuries and much more serious injuries that happen in the NFL, I feel.
But you know what? A lot of the injuries that we saw today, those are just things you see in sports all the time.
Well, I just think the NFL is probably the most dangerous sport out of everything we have.
Oh, it is. But the point is, these are non-contact injuries, and those are the worst ones. Like,
by the way,
yeah, go ahead.
Callan made another good point about the turf. Hence why FIFA requires grass field surfaces now because of turf issues. Yes, I'm bringing up other sports on this show. Yes.
Look, I don't know because I never actually looked at the data on it.
So soccer, and Callan, you'll have to remind me, but one of these arenas, they actually have the turf surface built under the stadium. And so that they don't have to grow it or do any of this stuff. And that's why you're seeing more teams go to turf because they don't have to take care of it as much. But that also leads to injuries because turf gets worn out.
Yeah.
So that's an issue there. We should talk about this. Callan brought this up too. More importantly, is someone going to get fired for how they've handled Jackson Dart's concussion issues? This is starting to get concerning. So I don't know if you saw this, Nick. He had to go into concussion protocol again.
I saw a tweet that said, like, in 50% of his games, Jackson Dart has been evaluated for a concussion.
See, and the point I'm going to make is going to be a little contradictory, but the running quarterback is actually not as good, I feel like, today as it once was. I feel like those guys get hurt more. Lamar's gotten hurt. I mean,
well, there's a difference between getting hurt and not as good.
No. I'm saying that, first of all, I think Jackson Dart can be a good quarterback, but I think he takes too many hits.
Yeah, that's a problem. I fully agree. He takes too many hits, and that's going to catch up to him. That's definitely going to catch up to him. As a quarterback, you have to learn to avoid taking big hits. You have to learn to be like Russell Wilson and not Cam Newton. Cam Newton played. But Cam Newton was also like 250 pounds. He was built like a truck. So he can handle hits a little better.
Well, Jalen Hurts does it a little bit too.
Well, Jalen Hurts is also very big. Jalen Hurts is huge.
Well, what does he squat? What did they say? Squat like 500 pounds at one point, they said?
I think even more than that.
Or 600 maybe?
Well,
but
NFL players don't have good squat form. They like go halfway. A lot of them.
I agree.
But either way, he is very strong. And from the videos that I saw of him squatting, he went like full depth too. So Jalen Hurts,
they said he's a good squatter. Like I've seen videos of it. Like he does the full squat. Like
that's part of the reason the tush push works so well.
And I hate the tush push, but I know why they do it.
That's a big part of why it works so well. Is that Jalen Hurts is so big.
And let me be clear: when I say I hate the tush push, I don't deny it. They do it well. I'm not going to take that away from them. But I just find it's not an exciting play to me. Really, at all? Like
the biggest issue with the tush push is that like there's a penalty. Even there's a penalty that happens. It's almost always a false start, which they just never call because that's the problem with the tush push is that it's too hard to officiate.
Agreed.
That's the problem.
Do you remember when they tried? I forgot how many years ago it was when they tried to make pass interference challengeable a couple of years ago.
Yeah, because of what happened was there was an obvious pass interference because the NFC Championship game.
Yeah, the Rams Saints, wasn't it?
The Rams and the Saints. The Saints should have won that game. It should have been a pass interference on the Rams.
Yes,
they didn't call it, and then they stopped allowing to challenge it because they just never overturned it.
Well, the problem with it is that pass interference is what's the word? Determined by discretion, not by like an actual form of requirements. So that makes it tougher to judge it.
Yeah, I guess that's the problem. I mean, the same thing.
Anything that involves discretion, you can't make it a challengeable play.
Hard to make it challengeable. You're right, because it's hard to overturn it. Although I guess there are times when it's like it's so egregious that you're just like.
Can you imagine if a holding penalty was challengeable? We'd be here all day.
Yeah, no, you're right about that. You're right about that. And you know what? It's rarely ever that big of an issue or that consequential.
What I do like though that they finally got the technology right where they basically got rid of the chain gang and now they have the technology in the football now. So like if they want to see if it's 4th and inches. I don't know if you've seen it. Like they call down to the field sometimes. They did it today. I forgot what game it was. They originally called the first down, and then they'll say from automated review up above, they pushed it back to 3rd and inches rather than calling it a first down. And I said, where was this years ago? Like, imagine they're going to have this in playoff games now where if a controversial call can't really happen anymore for the most part.
Well, so there's like a chip in the ball. Is that how it works?
Yeah, essentially they put a chip in the football now, which measures. They said it measures up to the 0.1 of a yard now.
But like where it lands, or
where it lands. Yeah.
The problem is there's one big problem, which is if it doesn't land. Like if it's like what happened with the Bills and Chiefs last year.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Which was, I think, clearly a first down.
Yes,
the Bills had, but they ruled it. But it was 4th. They ruled it.
Yes,
4th.
I remember that too. But I don't know. I mean, the NFL's the NFL. They're going to do what they want. I believe slightly that they still have a script for what teams they want in slightly into the playoffs.
I don't think they have a script.
Not a script. I'm saying, but I mean, look at the way the Chiefs were. Like, even though they were a full dynasty and played well, like they did get calls they probably shouldn't have gotten.
Oh, they did. I think people nitpick though, because you know what? There were a lot of calls that went against them. There were also a lot of calls that went against them that you could also use and say, "Oh, look, the NFL's against the Chiefs." It's easy to It's true that the Chiefs had some really good had some calls go in their favor. But
by the way,
can't just. That was so fucking stupid.
The index. You know you know which ref that was, right? He's on the CBS broadcast now. I'm forgetting his name. I have to look this up now, but he put an index card down to see where the spot was, which I don't know why that would matter at all, or why that would determine a first down. Gene Steratore. That's it. And they said, "Oh, it's this much." I needed an index card to see what the distance was. I was like, "Really? Like, really?" I don't know. Do we want to get to some of the nerdy media stuff a little bit, though? Oh, I don't know. Nick, did you freeze? Up there.
I thought you froze, but I
Yeah.
guess it was me because I think it was me who froze.
Should we get to some of the nerdy media stuff now?
Yeah, we can get to some of the nerdy media stuff. All right, so this story is a little old. Max Kellerman claims he was set to replace Mad Dog in an interview with Bill Simmons. And Francesa denies it. And listening to both stories, I think Francesa is correct. What Francesa said sounds much more realistic than what Max said. Max claimed that Francesa claimed that Max Kellerman wanted Max Kellerman, that Francesa wanted Max to be his co-host instead of Mad Dog. When in reality, Francesa probably
after Mad Dog.
That's what I meant.
Yeah. Okay.
What did I say?
You said to replace, but it
correct, not replace Mad Dog, but after Mad Dog left.
Yeah.
And Francesa said that's not true. There were many names that were being floated around, and they probably talked to like 100
everybody. Well, he said he wanted Simmons. That's the report that I saw, but I don't.
That's what Francesa said.
Yeah.
Or did he say that he wanted, if he were to have a co-host, it would be Bill Simmons? That would make a lot more sense.
Well, he said I wanted Bill Simmons. That was the name he said he floated out there for. But would Simmons have been good for radio?
I think Bill Simmons is.
I think he's a great podcaster.
Look, I think Bill Simmons, I think he would have been good on radio. He's the only thing is that he's more of a Boston guy. He's not really much of a New York guy. That's the only thing. Like, I don't know if I've never heard Bill Simmons talk about the Yankees.
Well, Bill's a Boston guy.
That's my point. He's a Boston guy. So having Bill Simmons be in New York, have a Boston guy do a New York show, unless that's the whole point of the dynamic of the show. It's New York versus Boston.
That was back at a time when New York was New York, Boston was Boston, Chicago was Chicago, Philadelphia, LA. Everything was considered local market. Now,
right, exactly.
Now you see national hosts doing a national show, and then they're doing a local show in their markets.
Right. Well, the point is, though, at the time, though, Mad Dog, Mike and the Mad Dog, that was an FAN show. So
it was
Bill Simmons doing just New York radio seems a little weird to me.
Yeah, so that was an FAN show, but it was simulcast on the YES network on TV, so it did have some national reach, which helped it. But I don't know.
I don't really believe Matt. Now, I'm not saying I think he's lying. I think he was probably just given bad information.
The only thing that Max has over Bill Simmons is that Max has done radio. So Max has been in the ESPN LA market doing radio. I think Max and Marcellus was one of the more successful radio shows in sports talk. And then they broke up. I heard they want a reunion and do some podcast stuff together. But I don't know. I'm wondering if Bill had taken that job. This is the what if game, and I know a lot of people hate this, but if Bill Simmons took the job and was hosting with Mike, would the career trajectory be different for what Bill Simmons had done?
Oh, it would definitely be different for Bill. It wouldn't be different for Mike. Because
no, forget Mike. I'm talking about Bill.
For Bill Simmons, yes, I think it would be different.
But would Bill have the empire today of all the stuff he's done?
I mean, he could, but he might not because he wouldn't be in the digital space as much.
Or it might have taken longer.
Maybe it might have taken longer. I'm sure Bill Simmons could do radio. I'm sure he could. And look, he's got a great personality. Look, one thing about Bill Simmons, and I guess this is true about media in general, is that he really stood out. He was you have to remember when he started, sports writers were very cookie cutter, very objective, whereas Bill Simmons was very open and honest about his fandom. And he also would write in more plain language. He would include a lot of pop culture references. He had a sense of humor. So he was very different from everybody else. It almost a little bit like what Barstool became.
Yeah. So Bill Simmons was one of the very first sports podcasts out there.
Yeah. He almost invented podcasting.
I mean, and I never know who the exact answer is for whoever had the first podcast. I'd have to go back and look that up because people debate that they're the first podcast, and it makes me laugh. Actually, put that up.
Who cares about being the first? He said, "Yikes! Putting a Boston guy in New York, that would be like putting a certain West Coast-based ETB host in Los Angeles."
Yes,
he's talking about himself.
Because he's the only one out. Well, he's in San Diego, but yes.
Here's the thing. I think we think of San Diego and LA as the same thing. We
Well,
don't.
yes,
It's Southern California to us.
Talon talks about that all the time when we do press row, like
we
how
don't-
frustrating it is.
We don't know the difference.
Well, New Yorkers don't know the difference.
Right. To us, like San Diego, LA, like I forget the Chargers moved. Like
God,
San Diego, LA.
If you don't know, Callan was a Charger fan, and then he gave up on the NFL because he didn't like the fact that the Chargers went from San Diego to LA because Spanos sold out. And I don't blame him, by the way. But I said to him, "Why don't you give the Chargers another chance?" He's like, "Yeah, no," and I'm like, "All right." But long story short, I think Max is a little bit of a BS artist sometimes.
Look, I don't think he's lying. Like I don't think he's lying. I don't think he I think he probably just thinks or was given information that was a little bit embellished. Like his agent probably told him, "Oh, Francesco wants to contact you," or whatever. But they probably talked to like hundreds of different people, even people not in sports, to potentially be a co-host. When in reality, Francesco probably didn't want to co-host.
Yeah.
Like I don't think he did.
No, he did a solo show for a long time. Like, first of all,
successful.
Well,
It
yeah,
was
but by the way, can you imagine doing 5.5 hours of radio solo?
By yourself?
He did it solo, literally solo.
And I don't know. Like, I would hate that because, the way I see it is like, it's too much me.
Well, so Callan and I had this discussion about the network, like all the stuff we have coming up in 26 and all the different things we're doing. And the thing I always tell him is, there's very few people who can do solo shows. Like
Colin Cowherd.
Colin Cowherd is one of the best, in my opinion, because
he does it really well because he's interesting. But you know what? He
has a sidekick though in McIntyre, but that's
which
more
is a weird dynamic that you see where you see people who are co-hosts but not really co-hosts. They're like halfway in, halfway out. They're like half producers, half hosts.
Well,
like Sean Morash and Tommy Lugauer.
They put his name, and when we get to the lineup, I'll explain why bringing his name up is interesting. But so McIntyre had a site called The Big Lead, right? I think that was his site.
Yeah.
He sold it for a nice sum of money. So to him, he doesn't really care. Like and then he had a weekend show on Fox Sports Radio where Colin's show is carried along with a bunch of other stuff and on FS1. And then Jason was filling in for Colin. And that's how they got to know each other. And that's when Colin said, the reason I need a psychic is because I bark at people for 3 hours every day. And I need someone to like play off of rather than barking. He did a really good job when he was at ESPN. We did the ESPN radio show solo, but I don't know. Solo shows are tough. I don't know how Mike did it Monday through Friday, 1 to 6:30.
They took a lot of calls.
Well, a lot of guests too. He had a lot of what do they call it? Like regular guests also.
Some of them, I'm sure, were paid.
No, but I'm just saying, like they were built in. Yes. Like during the NFL season, he had all these different guys that were on Monday and Thursday, and all the days, the football days. And also, do you remember he did the NFL show on Sunday?
Yeah, NFL Now. He did it.
And I don't know if that was a national show or if that was just a WFAN show, but
I don't know. It was probably that's a good question. Because it was all NFL stuff, so you'd think it would be national, but I think it was New York.
I think it was a local show because then Malusis and David Deal took it over when Francesco decided not to do the NFL show anymore. But I don't know. We're talking a lot about WFAN. Should we just go into that topic?
That's weird. So San Diego only has 2 sports stations. The FM station is local from 6 to 7. The AM station is local from 12 p.m. until 6.
So Callan brings up an interesting issue now with radio today, which in the sports talk space, the only time you're going to see live and local is morning drive and afternoon drive. Everything else is going to be syndicated for the most part now. So when he says that one of them is 6 a.m. to 7, usually after 7, because that's the end of afternoon drive, 3 to 7 Eastern.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to make any money, really, after 7 p.m. So I get that. And then the other one was 12 p.m. to 6. That's interesting because they're giving up morning drive on that station. But Let's look up the lineup changes just so I have them in front of me
The
here.
WFAN lineup.
So
It was interesting that they let BT and Sal go.
I have some thoughts on that, but I'll let you go first.
Well, wait, let me just look at the new lineup for a second. So the new lineup is you have it in front of you?
Yeah, I have it in front of you. So the warm-up show with Al and Jerry is staying. That's 1 hour, 5 to 6. That's more a fill hour. If you really want my opinion of it, it's a fill hour.
Yeah.
Because they didn't want to pay the overnight host for 6 hours of radio. Then they have Boomer and Gio, which obviously was not going anywhere. I think that show's become a gimmick. To be honest, I don't think
they're not going to mess with the morning show.
No, but I'm saying they don't even talk sports half the time on there.
The same thing was true of Boomer and that's what I like about the show, though, is that it's
I like it somewhat, but then Gio, not my cup of tea fully, but then so here's where the changes happen. So BT and Sal, Brandon Tierney and Sal Licata out. And now they have Evan and Tiki with Sean Morash. So his name is
that's the midday show. That's going to be from 10 to 2. 10 to 2. And who's on and then Carton's on from 3 to 7.
So it's the Carton show
from 3 to 7.
From 2 to 7.
2 to 7. Carton's going to be on for 5 hours.
Well, so it's Craig with Chris McGonigal, who was the overnight guy, who is the overnight guy now. And he was the board op for Carton and Roberts when Carton came back. After getting arrested for
you're right about that. Here's the thing, though. Why couldn't they just keep BT and Sal and have them go from 10 to 1 or something?
So
Evan and Tiki 1 to 4, Carton show 4 to 7, or something, or maybe they go on they did it on ESPN New York with.
Okay, so do you want the BS reason why they put Lugauer from 7 to midnight, or do you want the real reason?
What's the BS? I want both, because what is the BS reason?
So, I'll give you the real reason first, because most people are not going to get it. The real reason is money. That's why they put him from 7 to midnight. Yeah, Tommy Lugauer was the EP of Evan and Tiki.
Yeah.
So now they're moving him out of the EP role into hosting 5 hours by himself. Now,
yeah.
For most people who don't understand the New York market, I'll try to explain it along the way because our audience is not just New York local. But Keith McPherson, who was doing 7 to midnight, decided to leave before his contract was up.
Yeah. So that was, I think, a lot of people are saying it's because they thought he knew about Carton coming back. I don't think he knew anything. He probably, I don't think anything to do with it.
The rumors were floating forever. You knew when the FS1 show didn't work.
Right, but he didn't know any better. I don't think he knew any better than anybody else.
No, but first of all, he's got a young son at home who's 4 years old or 5 years old.
He's very young, yeah.
Very young. He doesn't see his wife or kid because 7 to midnight is one of the toughest shifts, believe it or not. The overnight shift, it's bad. You do it now. I did it for 2 years in the space. Sometimes you can get away with doing the midnight to 6 shift because you're not being bothered and you can just do your work. 7 to midnight is tough because it's right at the end of the night. You can't do anything at all. But I don't know how I feel about Tommy Lugauer doing five hours from 7 to midnight Eastern.
I mean, he has a weird gimmick.
Frank the Tank doesn't like him, by the way, either. Well, who doesn't Frank like?
Lugauer, though, is that his gimmick is all he does have kind of a weird gimmick. It's like he's acting the entire. It seems like he's acting.
He was a Craig guy. Craig, I think, was the one who brought him in when he came back.
I don't think he ever left. He was originally an intern, I think.
He was. Him and McGonigal were at the same time when they came up.
And now has this weird sort of gimmick of positive Tommy.
Well, that's all from the Frank the Tank stuff when he got into it with Frank. But so the reason they paired Craig with Chris McGonigal is because Craig is a little bit of a goof. I mean, Craig is partially a goof where
definitely.
He's not always going to talk sports. Or Chris,
he also likes to troll his co-hosts.
Yes, or he'll troll the morning show, which he does better than anybody.
Yeah,
but
or the other shows, whatever. He's
going to turn it into a fight again, like he used to with Boomer and Carton and with Francesa in afternoons, like they're going to cause a beef again, and it's going to
No,
cause.
I don't think so because he only really beefed with Francesa. That's the only guy he really beefed, and Francesa didn't get along with anybody.
That was the most entertaining part, though, when Craig used to just
because he also had a beef with Gio, just because Gio did an impression of him.
Yeah, but see, the one thing I liked about Gio was the impressions. Like,
but his Francesa impression is really, really good.
Spot on. No, I think his impressions were great. His Joe Beningo was insane. Like I closed my eyes and I'm like, oh my god, it actually like he could call someone up and do the voice.
He was convinced the caller that he was Joe Beningo.
Like
he's like, Mariah, are you or are you not hot?
I mean, Frank Caliendo though, right?
Of course.
So that it reminds me, those impressions kind of remind me of Frank a little bit, where he would do like a Mel Kiper or what were the ones? Oh, a John Madden. Like he was great at that stuff. But
great George W. Bush.
Yes.
Great great Stephen A. Smith impression he does. He does amazing impressions.
He's called up people. Great Gruden too. One of the best John Grudens I've ever heard. But yeah, they're doing 5 hours. But the reason they put him with McGonagall is because McGonagall is a sports nerd. Like so they wanted Craig to be paired with someone who actually does sports, so that the show doesn't go off track completely. Now,
well, the same thing was true with Evan. Evan was the same way.
Well, Evan was a sports nerd through and through. I don't love the Evan and Tiki pairing. I never really have, because Tiki after the NFL season is kind of useless in a sense. But
yeah, it's not his main sport.
But here's the other interesting thing now with Craig being back, and this happened the last time he was back. You can't run gambling ads on his show.
Oh, you can. You can. He won't do a read, but you can run gambling ads on his show. There's
no. The last time he came back, he said, "I don't want gambling stuff done on my show."
I think what he said was he didn't want any. He wouldn't do any reads. He wouldn't make picks against the spread. I don't know if he said that, but even if he said that then, it doesn't mean he said that now. Like, I highly doubt that's going to be the case. You can run gambling ads on his show. I mean, there's no rule against it. You can do that.
Well, the station can do whatever they want, but
they can do whatever they want. He probably wouldn't want to do any gambling ad reads, which I think is totally fair. And I also think it's totally fair for him to not make picks against the spread or anything like that.
So I don't know if you've seen the Craig Carton Show podcast, that national podcast he's doing right now. You do realize that show is simulcast on Sports Grid, right?
Yeah. That's gambling, right?
That's a full gambling network.
Yeah, actually, like I'm kind of okay with that because the show has nothing to do with sports gambling. I've never heard him talk about sports gambling.
Right, but he said like I'm separating myself from gambling, and his
right. But you have to remember these gambling. Just because the show has nothing to do with gambling doesn't mean it can't be on Sports Grid. Like
it's kind of a weird connect, though. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I do. I just don't think it's a big deal. Like. He's not talking about gambling at all. I've never really. He might talk about the spreads a little bit, but only in the sense that, like, if it's like a relevant story, and like you can't not talk about the Raiders Broncos, like what happened there last week.
I have to read this comic because it's funny. So from before. Then again, who does Frank the Tank like? Morgan said the fact he ripped your cousin a new one on the SMY Kids cast still makes my blood boil. So in case anyone hasn't heard that story, I'll tell it for a minute. My cousin won the Kids cast contest for SMY, so he got to go up to the booth to call a full inning with Ron and Keith and who am I leaving out there? Forgetting who the third one is. But so he was in the booth, and all of a sudden I go on Twitter. And Frank absolutely rips my cousin, saying that he had no business being in that booth. He's a kid. A kid. That's why I don't like Frank anymore. But to get back to the FAN stuff briefly, just so Lou Gower, Gary Cohen, that's right. Lou Gower doing the real reason. Because the BS reason they're going to give you is, we want to give Lou Gower a chance. He could be entertaining from 7 to midnight.
He is entertaining. I don't dispute that. He is.
Okay, but that's the BS.
He's entertaining for like an hour. I don't know about 5 hours.
Yeah, but the real reason is that he's cheap. He was a producer. They might give him a small bump going from a producer to a talent. But if they had to pay a real talent they would have to pay more than what they're probably paying Tommy Lugauer right now. I'm just going to point that out as fact.
But maybe like BT and Sal's ratings just weren't good. That could be it too.
Yeah, but first of all, they've had 3 management changes since BT and Sal have taken over middays.
But
Also,
isn't it possible though that BT and Sal just didn't have good ratings, and that's why they didn't want to continue
the
with the show?
the midday slot is the toughest time to get any ratings because most people are working from 10 to 2 Eastern. So
No, that is absolutely true. Although Joe and Evan had really good ratings. When they were on, so.
But Joe and Evan had a really good chemistry. They built a brand for a very long time in that midday slot.
The point is though, because of that, WFAN had a gold standard for midday shows.
True. And that's what Craig had said when he addressed it, saying Joe and Evan will always be the best midday show that WFAN ever had.
Definitely.
But of course, in Craig Fesh is I feel bad for BT and Sal losing their jobs because I'm coming back. No, you don't.
Here's the thing though with BT and Sal. They're not getting screwed as bad as people say they are. Because the thing is that I'm sure they have guaranteed contracts. They still have to be paid throughout the rest of this time. You're going to get paid to like go away essentially.
I don't know if a lot of times contracts are up in December usually, so their deals could be up for all we know. I don't know.
Well, yeah, but in that case, then there was no guarantee they were going to get re-signed.
But if I'm BT and Sal, I go over to ESPN New York and see if I can do the show over there. I think they
might be able to stay on WFAN, but maybe they.
So BT and Sal are actually doing a live show coming up in January. Has nothing to do with FAN. Like they have Aaron Boone coming on. Like they're selling tickets and VIP packages. And I was like, wait, what the hell is this?
So baseball centric. Like I tuned in a couple, maybe a month ago or so.
It's baseball nerd. Yes,
and they were talking about like they were talking about like Yankees off-season moves.
Yes,
in the middle of football season
and Mets too. But I don't know. I mean, the lineup is interesting. I was never the biggest WFAN listener, but I'll tune into Boomer and Gio. I watch a lot of the clips from Boomer and Gio because Gio usually is either hot rodding somebody from inside the walls there, or those are the clips I like to watch. But Evan and Tiki, Evan is finally back at middays for the first time since he moved to afternoon drive.
Yeah, I'm not so worried about them, but it does suck he has to get up a little earlier.
Actually, no, Boomer said it's better for him because he likes going to games.
That's true, actually. It's better. No, that's a good point. That's a really good point. Like, I don't really like going to games that much. So for me, it would be a little different.
I mean, I
like sleeping more than going to games.
Yeah, seriously. But
all right, we got to get going. I got to get going. We're way over time.
Yeah. Last thing, though, just so people know.
Oh, yeah. ETB Lounge next weekend. Not next week. What am I saying? It starts in about a month from now, 4 weeks.
About a month. Yeah, so January 10th, looking at probably 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern time on Saturdays. We're working on building your show out now.
Yeah, it's going to be me and like a casting couch of a bunch of comics. Some of them know sports, some of them don't. And it's gonna be like a fun sort of late night type of show.
Yeah, basically, let's put it this way: if you're looking for the PG,
it's not a regular sports show.
Yeah, if you're looking for the PG rated show, then don't come.
It's going to be more PG-13. Although honestly, our regular podcasts are a little PG-13 too. But
so make sure you tune into that. This show's going away.
It really just wasn't worth my time anymore.
The quick thing I'll say is the idea kind of revolved into something else.
Well, the thing is all this is just a live version of the podcast, the regular podcast with you instead of Johnny.
Right, but I'm saying the show kind of evolved into something that originally what the original idea was, that you had so many topics, it was going to get moved over to
right.
And that didn't work.
I don't really prep. Now we get to every topic, and everything that we don't get to, I just don't bother to get to it.
Right, because by the time you get to Sunday, some of those topics were out of date.
So most leftover shows are not even leftovers for the show.
Right.
I might over prepare for a show, but I mean now actually I get to every topic usually, so it's just different.
So tune into that ETB Lounge. Callan's going to be doing a Monday night one from 10 p.m. to midnight. You're doing the Saturday from 8 to 10 p.m. So we're going to have 2 versions of the show. Leftover goes away. It was a good idea in theory. It just didn't work out the way. we wanted to. It'll be on here, so you'll see it on Twitter and Twitch and YouTube and a bunch of channels. So just make sure you tune in. By the way, most people we had watching right now, 89 people watching currently.
Well, that's nothing compared to what we had on FP5. We had like close to 300.
Yes, 250. The last episode before the live, I just checked, is over 400 for the recorded episode you guys did.
Oh, yeah. Not the recorded one.
But yeah, and Christy says it too. Well, Callan said, yeah, we got 2 versions of the lounge that we're sure everybody will enjoy. Christy, who's going to be part of one of the shows, excited for the lounge. So a lot of good stuff coming up.
400 views with no comments. Interesting.
I know. But I also put up your what was it, the clip from Sharon Moore? That clip did well as a short.
On TikTok or on YouTube?
As a YouTube short.
Okay.
It did well. It did well as a TikTok too. And I put the Phillip Rivers one up this morning because that one was a. By the way, Phillip Rivers. We didn't even get to that because we ran out of time. But let's see. The Leftovers episode with the 3 of us. Oh, Callan said the Leftovers with the 3 of us had 115 views last time I checked. So you know what? When the show is done correctly, it can be done with views. And the same thing with the lounge. I think the lounge is going to do very well now.
Yeah. It all depends on algorithm.
And I think being off of playback, believe it or not, and I hate to say this because I love playback, but we can do more on here now that we couldn't do on playback.
Yeah, but it takes up more space on StreamYard.
Yeah, I'm going to stop taking up your time because I know you got to run.
Yeah,
so,
I got to take a piss, honestly. All right.
I'll end the stream here. Have a good night, everybody.
Good night.
See you around.